and I'll pass it over to Septi.
Thanks. I mean, I actually agree with Anti, but not agree with you. It's like we need to focus on token engineering, yes, but I don't think we need to focus on the token engineers that exist today. Like for example, when we were doing all the Scrum parties, like people was learning a lot. Even like myself, I learned a lot about tokenomics. And it's like, we want to create this space where people just come to the DC, learn, and then use all this learning for their projects, or just to teach. But the thing is, like, we have to have like like people come here to learn token engineers, and then learn or practice. Like I said in the last call before, like how I love to see the thesis, like having development work around tokenomics that we design here, and then we design them, we deploy them, then they are free to the world to use. That's what I would love to see. uh yes, I mean, if and I feel like we are kind of in the opposite direction. We actually, like, as soon as we create the commons, we retire the two working groups that were working on those lines, which were the params working group and the commons one. So maybe like rethinking on how to do something similar to what those working groups were doing. I think, yeah, that would be something very, very great. I'll pass it to Richa.
Thank you. For me personally, I don't have anything in mind about Sampo, but I guess speaking more broadly about the TC, similar to NT, I think that I would like. So I think we're really good at kind of like having great discussions around topics, but then oftentimes um, not as good at putting things into motion and executing and kind of like just making a lot of progress. So similar to the way Sampo is moving forward on a few things, like I would like that we would just be a little more productive. Passing it on to Irem.
Yeah, mine goes for the broader TC, I think, too, and maybe this is more of a personal thing. I just sometimes have difficulty understanding where, for example, I have agency within a working group, like, carrying a role that I can just execute something versus when I have to go through an advice process and consult in like what groups and which other calls and to what particular people. So that confuses me, but maybe it's really something personal. Like even small things like this week, I was asking around, can we just remove channels from like unused channels until the community parts, the community, what part was that? I don't remember. Yeah, the community section of Discord. Can I do it? Should we write a proposal about it, like we were discussing with Costa too? So those kind of like small things I want to be able to maybe better understand and know. And again, maybe it's a little bit more personal, where I can take action versus when it needs to go through all these processes. And I'll pass it to Rex.
Sure. I would go back on Enti's idea specifically about how we're communicating and how we're fitting in within this larger ecosystem, because I do feel there's been a lot of movement in other areas, and maybe the tokenomics DAO has a very specific kind of goal. So does the Token Engineering Academy, etc., etc. Whereas the TC at the moment, to me, it feels like more of a nebulous idea, and so it's struggling to pinpoint its value add within this new world that we're creating in token engineering. So to me, what we're missing is that I feel like there's something still missing. The efforts we're doing at some point, I feel, leading us somewhere, but not. I still don't see the meaning, if that makes sense. It's very abstract in the way I'm talking, but that's That's my point of view. Gideon, what's your point of view of this?
Actually, I'll go last if that's okay, and maybe just to pull in like rather mercurial. Would you like to offer some observations?
I'm just here doing some research for some other DAOs and listening in, but thank you very much.
Sure thing. And Finesto, how about you?
I'm gonna admit here I joined a bit late and I am a bit of a newcomer, so I'm gonna just not reply here. That's okay.
Totally fair. Just want to make space in case you do have thoughts. You can always feel free to jump in. Okay. Yeah, I mean, a lot of this stuff is resonating with me right now. I think my biggest frustration is that we have become too. I mean, I was just talking about this with the stewards. I think we've become too internally focused over the last 9 months or so. Focused on process, and I mean, our culture is so great, and yet I think we've kind of fallen into the trap of confusing process with culture, and just spending a whole bunch of time on that. And we need to focus that outwards now. Like we really need, like, it's a matter of life or death for the TEC. Like if we can't focus outward and like really helping the stakeholders who are trying to build the field of token engineering, then we shouldn't even be here, honestly. So I think that's the power that we need to tap, that sense of purpose. And I think once we do that, this place is going to feel completely different. Like it's going to, like some of the energy you're feeling in these Sampo calls, like that will be the TEC. So we have some work to do. I think that's one of the key things, is getting that external focus and really being centered on mission and of service, because service comes from the heart. Like that's just the truth. Like that's love. Like it's an extension of love, right, and meaning. So I think those are my main ones. The other one, I mean, other things really resonated with me, like Idam, what you were talking about of like lack of clarity around what kind of actual decision-making authority people have, and just like when do I need to do to do advice process? What does that look like exactly? I think we set that up originally, but now that we're moving forward, like we need to clarify some of that stuff. And Risha and I were having the same conversation about advice process and like, what's the right balance there? I feel that myself a lot. It's part of the challenges of working in a decentralized, non-hierarchical organization, or commons. So, last thing I'll say about that is, for right now, is like, we know that we don't want to replicate the kind of power structures of the corporate world. Like, there's just a lot of thing in, the kind of governmental hierarchies and things like that, bureaucracies. But the one thing that they're really good at is accountability, to a fault. And we haven't quite figured that out yet, how to hold each other accountable. But I think the answer is not, it's not like Gideon is the manager of Sampo. That's not the right direction, right? It's how do we, as really like a fellowship, hold each other accountable, and how do we make decisions in ways that keep us moving forward and keep things fluid and keep us focused. That's what we're all here to try to figure out in this work. So, and Rex, I understand. I think that there's confusion over high-level direction, and part of this right now, frankly, is we're trying to work through some stuff with the Token Engineering Academy, and it's kind of hamstringing some stuff, like the plan that I was hoping to roll out over this next couple weeks that I've been working on for a while. Tam and I were talking about this, and it's like, we've got to get this relationship with the Token Engineering Academy worked out. That's just so important to us. Like, I know it may be frustrating to some that we can't move forward on some of these fronts, but like, it's so important that we get this right. There's not going to be two players out there that like we can't be like competing with the Token Engineering Academy or anything like that. So if we have to go slow right now to just figure out how we can support the academy, it's a little bit of a pain. It's like some pain that we've got to take right now to do that and get that right. But like the long-term impact, positive impact that will come from getting that right and getting this relationship right, so that we really are helping them and helping their mission. Like, they're doing a great job right now. So we've got to think about, again, as part of this moving out, focusing outward, like how do we help them? And when we do that, then we can start to think about these plans about how we serve the field. But if we can't even serve the Token Engineering Academy right now, that's a problem. So it's, we're a little bit hamstrung in the short term, like until we can kind of get that done. But in the meantime, the one thing we can do is really focus like crazy on this curation service and just making this thing so good that we're going to attract lots of people and a lot of new energy into the TEC. And so that's the one thing I know we can do. And I think if we do a really good job of that, we will start to build some excitement and some energy while we're waiting to have these conversations with engineering. That's my honest view of things. Okay, well, I wasn't expecting that, but good. That's good to have these conversations. All right, so Irem, just real quick, we're having some conversations around Otter Space and this idea of these badges. I just wanted to just briefly mention that this is something we're working on right now. We're trying to figure out like what's the simplest way of experimenting with that technology, so that we can learn how to do badging and like eventually figure out if there's a way to kind of make this like a way of building reputation within the TEC. We're not sure exactly what it is, but Bear and Enti and Irem have been thinking about this, and we'll come back next week, I think, maybe with some ideas for like maybe a simple process for just doing like membership in Sampo. Like what would that look like as just a stepping stone? But I don't want to like overstate that that's where we are, because we're still kind of figuring this out. So hopefully we'll come back with more details on that next week. Risha, would you like to give a quick update on the curation service?
Yep, sure. For people who don't know what the curation service is, there's this doc that I'm dropping in the Sampo channel that anyone can take a look at. If you just go to the second page, there's a high-level diagram that pretty much summarizes what the service is going to be. I can talk about it at a high level right now, though. Essentially, we are going to be posting in Discord's new forum-style feature. It's going to be a channel that's made open to everyone within the TEC, and we're going to apply a bot in that channel that picks up certain comments that are qualified based on whatever criteria we set, and it makes it into this like sort of back-end database that we're working with what is the name of their team again?
The Common Sense?
Yeah, DAOstack's Common Sense team. Thanks, Gideon. So we will have this available in sort of like a back-end database, and then from that database we can pull it for various different applications. So the first one we're working on is Twitter. And essentially what we're going to do is pull it into an Airtable, and then we'll be syncing that with Comms' existing Twitter Airtable and go from there. So realistically, this is only really the first use case they'll be able to kind of like hash out in the first iteration, but in the future we're thinking of expanding it to many more things. And the whole point of the service is to actually just help us understand what the buzzworthy things are within the community, and then find ways to kind of essentially put that stuff to good use. So one of the big decisions that was made recently was we are looking to do this in a forum format, which is a new feature that was launched recently. In the past, we've always been using Discord channels and stuff, but it kind of happened to be serendipitous that it kind of launched at the same time, and we decided to kind of go with it. So really excited for that. And then as a next step, there's a few sort of tactical things that need to be worked out to make sure that when we do launch in the first week of October, we're kind of launching with all systems go. So tactical things are just partner with comms to align on what fields need to be taken out from the Airtable, align with Nate to kind of put out some good educational things on this topic. Also align with stewards for the naming, for NT, for working on partnership agreements with partners like this in the future, and also just think through how do we limit, how do we minimize sort of spam and not great content appearing in these channels. So yeah, that's just like a high level update for now.
Awesome, thank you. So what I thought today, it seemed to work last week pretty well to kind of do these breakout rooms. So first of all, I think we should all get into the habit, if we can, of when we're on these calls, if you can get into Clarity, or at least have like a pretty good chunk of us into Clarity so that we can edit this doc, these docs as we're going. What we're going to do is what I thought would be kind of interesting to do is like have us all playing around just for like a few minutes with the forum as it exists today, because this will be the front end to the curation service, and it's already up and running on our Discord server. So spend a little bit of time, each one of us kind of playing around with it, and then we'll break out into groups, and we'll have some conversations around just like share your thoughts about using the service, like what works well. You can even, if you want, like comment on some of the stuff that's in there. You can post a link of an article that you like if you want. What works well, what's problematic. And don't worry too much about the quality of the stuff that you're putting up right now. Like we can always delete stuff. Like you can even put like something that's just like a stupid link up there, just so you know what it's like to do that, and then we can delete it afterwards. So don't worry about that. And then let's see. I'm trying to think if we should come back. No, I think what we'll do is if you can just like do this, then we'll talk about like the tags and the categories. How should we think about picking the categories? And then in particular, are there some of these categories that are good for us to really focus on around building engagement around? And then one other kind of thing I just am throwing out randomly, I don't even know if this is a good idea, but memes. This community used to spend a lot of time like doing meme stuff because it's so effective as a communicator on Twitter. Should we add that as a category, or does that, what would that do? So I'm going to give you a number, and this is a number for the breakout room. So NT, you're 1, Bear 2, CryptoZac 3, Finesto 1, Miram 2, Rather Mercurial 3, Rex 1, Risha 2, Zepti 3. And I don't even know if this is going to work out exactly right. I'll kind of look around, and if we don't have somebody who's like very familiar within each one of these, I may ask people to adjust a little. So head over to your, and here's let me give you a link to the actual forum space. Trying to do too many things here. Let's see. Copy. Okay, can somebody just confirm that I got this right? Yeah, that's the right one. So go ahead and click on that, start playing around, and then head over into your breakouts, and then we'll join back up at let's do it in 25 minutes. So 10 minutes to the hour. We'll meet back up here in the central channel. Okay?
Got it.
Hey, CryptoZack, are you there?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out where to go.
Oh, okay, sorry. So go. I can't remember what number. Do you remember what your number was?
Yeah, 3.
So go scroll down. So on the sample voice channel, if you go down below that, you'll see these like a yellow, red, and blue circle. Sorry, I wasn't very clear. I did this last time, but I didn't point this out.
Okay.
You know what? Actually, can you go? Wait, can you go to number? Go to the red one. Okay.
Okay. Cool. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Okay, people start coming back. Um, let me just ping the other rooms.
Hey y'all,
What
got a
up?
bit carried away.
That's a good thing. Um, We all need to get carried away sometimes. So, all right, let's do this. I think it worked well last time to just like have one person from each of the rooms. Maybe just like do your top observation from each one of these questions. R1. Can you go? Room 1.
Yep. Let me share screen 1 second. So, well, on this first section about sharing thoughts, what works well, we said that we found that it integrates the community really nicely, and the tags are sort of a nice way to keep everything um, tidy in within a certain group. And also the forum view looks quite tidy, so that's really cool. One thing that's problematic is the emojis, and that you probably need, like, there's a certain barrier, like, for you to be able to just know that that thing exists and that that you can use it. You have to be already at least a bit engaged in the community. And one thing that come up that is that this forum feature is pretty new. Is still in beta, so there's a lot of things that may change in the future. So it may be too soon. Um, about tags, so we added memes, token economics, DeFi, NFTs, analytics, and just try to look for the bigger variants of Web3, the bigger groups that we can talk about. We sort of chatted on the difference between the TEC tag and token engineering tag, and so Rex said that the TEC tag is cool for TEC, very TEC specifics like the audit we make and other content that may be related, but then the T tag, it can be for more industry-wide stuff. For the are there a few categories that we should really focus on for building engagement? And so, if so, which ones? Token engineering, just pretty much systems and economics, and I'm just thinking, anything around there, papers, examples, analytics, etc., and even memes can be a great thing. And finally, we really didn't got the time to go through these last two, so I'll pass it back to you.
Okay, cool. Who can take, thank you. Who can take R2?
Yeah, I guess I can take it. Unless, did you unmute Crypto Zach? Did you want to do it?
No, you can take care of it, Richa.
Okay, sounds good. Cool. So overall, we thought that it was actually really like the forum feature was very convenient to have those categories, easy to make a post, and easy to comment. From a problematic point of view, we just thought that it was unideal that we could just see the first emoji and there wasn't really a clear process for handling duplicates. In terms of how we should pick tags, we said perhaps we can just agree on a basic set that we review with the TC stewards and then have some sort of organic discovery process where as people want to use different features, they can request a different category, and then it would actually get approved, but this would all be manual. The next one was, are there a few categories that we should really focus on for building engagement? We really liked the idea of DAO tooling as one category and then tokenomics use cases as the other. And then should we have a category for memes? We thought that yes, definitely, but we just want to make sure that doesn't take away from actual productivity of the channel. So if everyone, instead of kind of like talking about really useful, productive things, they're just only doing the memes, then it wouldn't be very helpful. But outside of that, like it's super like fun and definitely helps build engagement in some ways. And then the last question, we had time to go through the last question, so we just did it. What should we do with Airtable data in future iterations? We thought that we could probably nail down like a broader social media strategy where we also share this content on other mediums like LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, etc., YouTube as well. We could put it on a newsletter. We can put it on an external forum. It could be a research base for academics. It can even act as a funnel for the Token Engineering Academy. And again, of course, like it can go into the token holder gated channel with some sort of permissioning. And as a final sort of like long-term thing, it can also be created into some sort of curation market where people who actually end up posting and curating earn some reward for the actual consumers who end up consuming and using that data for some purpose. So that was sort of the summary from our side. Yeah, passing it back to you, Gideon.
Awesome. Thank you, Risha. Okay, so we've got 2
Yeah.
minutes left. Who can do a pretty quick summary of room 3?
1 minute pitch. Let's go. So we got very lucky with Brother Mercurial. He actually fresh eyes gave such good feedback. So with what's working well, it's great. We said to surface the all-star content from a forum like this. It just reduces the amount of Discord searching a lot, and we can even start bringing more and more stuff into the content creation. Like memes, we definitely said, for example, should be one of the categories, and in fact maybe removing the meme channel and taking it into here. Another thing we talked about is the tags should be more specific to our mission. Like again, this is similar to what group 2 said, you know, like token engineering design or DAO tooling, etc. Kind of be specific with those. And again, maybe let's see in the first iteration, depending on the feedback we get and manual input of users, we can iterate and use other things. Yeah, I think this is 1 minute. But you can check more of the notes in the clarity later.
Wow. Okay. Very good. All right, everybody. Thank you. So we'll go through this feedback and we'll digest it and we'll be using it in shaping this service. So thank you. Time to go to the community call. Really, thank you all for this feedback. I really enjoy this. So I hope you all do too, and it's useful. So, all right. We'll see you all next week, if not before. Take care. Bye.
Bye. See you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you,
Thank you, everyone.
See ya.
Thanks, folks.